most people watching this are in a company where if they track upline high enough, they'll find somebody making what they want to earn, and then they just got to pick up the phone and call them.
So when they pick up the phone and call them, how do they prove or kind of showcase to that person that they're worth the time? How do you know if you were in my upline and I was calling, and I finally get a hold of you? How do I demonstrate to you that I am worth an investment of mentorship?
Well, you're going to demonstrate it over a period of time. Initially, I'm going to have to take your word for it, but I'm going to ask you certain questions. I'm going to want to know that, for example, that you're literally willing to do what I teach you for 1 year and put on blinders, that you're literally willing to not even contemplate another company for at least a year, and that you will not argue or try to take what I teach you and modify it in any way. And if the answer to those questions is, yes, Mark, I will do those things, I'm going to make the assumption that you will.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'll know within 90 days if you're telling me the truth.
Right.
But great leaders are generally accessible, and most companies have great leaders. The thing most people don't understand, Eric, and it seems so patently obvious to me, once you've selected a domain, for example, my first domain was theology. Who better to coach you than Doc Peel? You know, Doc Peel said, you need a book. So I went out and wrote a book. It was my first book. Because Dr. Norman Vincent Peale said, there are two kinds of people in the world. And I'll never forget him saying this, people with a book and people without one. The way he talked real great, he said, you want to get in the first group, they make all the money. So I went and found a mentor who was an author named Kevin McCommon. He'd written for Reader's Digest and a bunch of, and he and I wrote the book together, and we split the commissions and everything. But I learned from him as a mentor, a writer, how to do it. So I wrote a book, I did what Peele told me. If people pick a domain, and let's say the domain is network marketing, what they have to realize is, it's not about wasting your time in due diligence. A great leader doesn't pick a lousy company with crappy products and a poor comp plan at the wrong time.
Mm-hmm.
So once you understand the power of selecting somebody who is consistently demonstrating what's possible, all you've got to do is go find them. They're going to be in a great company. Now, the only caveat to that is if you track upline and find that you can't get access to people who could benefit from you economically, which is irrational,
right?
That's a problem. So when people call me, and I get a lot of calls from people who will say, you know, they'll ask me, well, which company should I pick, blah, blah. I say, well, don't quit companies, just track upline, find a mentor.
Right.
There's somebody in your upline who's accessible. Find out who's making the amount of money you want to make, call them. Go do what they tell you. Promise to do what they tell you.
So let me try this exercise, okay?
Okay.
Let's assume that you are going to be a mentor for everybody watching this show. Let's say they tracked you down, they called you up, and they said, Mr. Yarnell, I know it's Mark, would you mentor me? And then you ask the questions. You know, are you willing to not argue with me? Are you going to do it for 1 year? You're not going to consider anything else? And they say, yes, yes, yes. Mm-hmm. What would be some of the things that you would coach them to do? And, you know, mentoring thing, what I've learned from mentoring, it's not a daily interaction. Usually it's given an assignment, it's coaching, it's guiding, it's maybe once a month or something, you touch base and you make sure they're on track.
Right.
It's not, you know, they don't move into your house with you. You know, mentors typically don't. One of my best mentors was Jim Rohn, and, you know, we became friends, but it was...
And what a great guy.
An amazing guy. Amazing.
He was accessible.
He was accessible, absolutely. So, what would you say to these people who would be looking to you as a mentor? What would be some of the things that you would do?
Well, the first thing I would teach them to do is turn professional. You know, it's amazing. The last year Tiger Woods was an amateur. He didn't make any money. The first year he turned pro, he made $18 million. Now, he played the same number of tournaments.
Right.
And he, you know, went to the driving range and practiced the same amount of time, which is about 2 hours a day, 9 months a year. If you add up all the cumulative time that he plays golf, 2 hours a day, 9 months a year in tournament play. So he goes from 0 to 18 million. What was there as he turned pro? In our industry, so many people have lost sight of the fact that amateurs, and I don't mean this in a disparaging way, an amateur is somebody who doesn't get paid,
Mm-hmm.
and a professional is somebody who does.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing you're going to have to do as my new student, if I'm going to be your mentor, is you're going to have to commit to turning pro 2 hours a day. You're going to be the Tiger Woods of your company. But that means you're going to have to do what your company pays you to do. Now, your company only pays you to do two things: recruit and retail. It doesn't pay you to watch Dr. Phil or walk the dog or surf or tweet or Twitter or all the technology going. You're paid to talk to another human being and either sell them your product or service or recruit them into the business. So the first thing I'm going to commit you to as a person who's willing to follow my strategy is 2 hours a day, where during that 2 hours you turn off all of your technology, all of it, except either your one cell phone or a landline. And during that time, you're basically going to see if you can reach 30 people and talk to them about your product, service, or preferably the business opportunity. I think that's where it is. So you're going to have to commit, first of all, to 2 hours a day. And if you can't do that, I will not sponsor you, and I will not work with you. Because we're only paid as professionals in this industry to recruit and retail. I talk to people all the time who are figuring out new back office drip systems, or they're going to this seminar or that symposium or this or that. I think I love personal development. I love technology. I've probably got as many website domains as anybody in the networking industry. I use it from a video perspective. Technology is a fabulous, fabulous tool. But by golly, 2 hours a day, you need to recruit and retail with other human beings interacting.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no substitute for that. So that's kind of the first thing. And
Okay.
you'd be surprised how few people understand that.
Or we'll commit to that discipline.
Yeah, or we'll commit to it.
All
Now,
right.
they'll commit to it.
Yep.
They just won't do it.
Right.